So I was brought up as a Catholic, where homosexuality was a sin, but I didn't know I was gay. And because of the rituals and my experience with the Catholic Church, I went to the Anglican Church, but again I still experienced that anti-homosexuality thought, amongst other things, so women in leadership at the time. And so when I came across MCC, it opened up my thinking, but it still took me a very long time to reconcile the fact that God loved me with my sexuality and my whole being. The church is 10.5 years old, and it was started by Reverend Debbie Gaston with a few people, and they decided they wanted a church in Brighton that reached out to gay and lesbian people. Living here has made me realise that it's quite good to live somewhere where it's open to be gay and people haven't got to be closeted, but there's still a need for the church to be open. And it's not enough for other churches to tolerate gay people, but they need to embrace them and make them part of the church, in the full life of the church. Well, my beliefs as a Christian have grown since I've been ministering, and I think every single person is individual. So it doesn't matter who we are. We have individual stories, individual lives, individual beliefs. And so whether we're homosexual or bisexual or straight, whether we swing from the rafters or whether we're very gentle in the way that we approach the world, every person has to be accepted and embraced as an individual. There's certainly negativity towards homosexuality being accepted within a Christian realm. So I've personally experienced, even with a collar on, trying to give somebody something and they say, I'm not taking it from you because you're gay. And they referred to themselves as Christian, and when I said I'm Christian, they said, no, you're not, you're gay. And in more fundamental beliefs, you can only be Christian or gay. You can't be both, but I don't believe that God created people to be gay to then have them rejected.
I started attending 18 months ago, I think it was, about 19 months now actually, and I started because my daughter's a lesbian and she wanted to go to church and she'd heard about MCC, but she was too scared to go anywhere on her own, so I took her on my motorbike, and then first day I was there was when I met my now fiancée. But I know that some people have come to MCC because in previous churches they've been treated quite badly, and more recently we had kind of an episode where we went to visit another church to look at moving our services there, to move from the hall we're in, and myself and my fiancée went in and people were all over us trying to talk to us, because we're new and we're obviously a couple. The three ladies from our church, who are all lesbians, came in, sat near the back, and people just didn't approach them. They wouldn't talk to them or anything, and that was kind of brought it home to me that even now some of the more slightly supposedly more modern churches still just don't want to deal with the whole question.
The Old Testament makes statements against homosexuality, approving of only same-sex relationships. One of the most greatly debated scriptures regarding homosexuality is Corinthians chapter 6, verses 9 to 10. Do you not know that the wicked will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor male prostitutes, nor homosexual offenders, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor slanderers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. Other texts are also often used to justify the oppression of homosexuality in Christianity, such as Genesis chapter 19 and Leviticus chapter 18 verse 22.
But if you actually read Leviticus as a whole, it has one line that says man should not lie with man as with woman. So if you take that at face value, then clearly lesbians are okay, because it only mentions men with men, you know. So I think if you look at the whole of Leviticus, it's full of a whole bunch of very strange rules. If you touch a rabbit, you're unclean, you know. You're not allowed to eat shellfish at all, because you're only allowed to eat stuff in the water that has fins. So if you're going to say that, you know, homosexuals are wrong, then really you need to apply the whole Leviticus, and every time you do anything, even by accident, you then have to go and find yourself a bull, slaughter it, rip its guts out and set fire to it as an offering, you know. So people always trot out Leviticus, but he spends more time actually talking about members of your family that you can't have sex with than he does about homosexuality. So it's clear that he was obviously a heterosexual male, and like most heterosexual males, he has no problem with two women together, but if you mention two men, it's like, oh no, oh my god.
So as with Leviticus and any other passage that talks about men with men, I believe that you have to look at the historical context behind that. So you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, and the story behind that was sexual debauchery and prostitution and using sex for one's own gain, whereas it should be part of a loving relationship, whether that's same sex or opposite sex.